But without further ado, I would like to bring our panelists up for the evolution of sports media. First and foremost, I'd like to introduce our moderator, John Ourand. John is a senior correspondent for sports media coverage with Puck Media, and one of the best, if not the best, business media sports journalists in America, John Ourand. Next up is Rob Thun, Chief Content Officer, DIRECTV. Following Rob is Dan Finnerty, Senior Vice President, General Manager, Spectrum Networks, inclusive of Sportsnet LA, and Peter Scott. Peter Scott is the Chief Strategy Officer for Play Anywhere, an up-and-coming interactive technology rights company that's had a lot of success coming out of the Paris Olympics. So without further ado, the evolution of sports media.
There you go. But I want to start with you, Rob. Everybody here knows that Disney and DIRECTV had a very public negotiation. Disney networks, including ESPN, went dark on DIRECTV for a couple of weeks. What finally happened to make a deal come to a head?
Thanks, John. That I'm not sure. I think it was that we were off for 2 weeks, and then everyone was kind of sick of fighting, and that neither party was going to capitulate. So I think on some of the key components of the deal that we wanted each to get. So, we were holed up in a conference room for several weeks. Friday before we ultimately back on, I had a conversation with my counterpart, Justin Conley, and we talked about the framework of the deal, and things started moving. I think it was just both parties got tired of putting our customers, collective customers, in the middle. But it was a deal about, from our side, making sure that we were able to get rights for genre packages, which there's really just two flavors of subscriptions really to get today. Either a very fat package that's very expensive, or sort of a build-to-bear approach of getting your own direct consumer products of ESPN Plus or Peacock or Paramount Plus or Amazon, Netflix, et cetera, and you end up spending a lot of money through that vehicle. And instead of those two polar extremes, we want to find something in the middle where customers are paying less and choosing their own product sets for the genres that they watch. So we were very religious about that point, and we wanted to make sure that we got the genres that Disney occupy, which obviously are sports, broadcast, general entertainment, and kids and family. And at the end of the day, we were able to strike a deal.
So if you were launching DIRECTV today, and you didn't have these legacy contracts, would you go full a la carte? Or did you still like the whole idea of the genre package? I mean, what is the best consumer? Because I don't mean to put full a la carte out there, because of course you can't do it because you have a ton of programming contracts. But is that ultimately, like, you talk about a skinny bundle? That's the essence of a skinny bundle, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you do it, you'd subscribe per show, but that would be a billing nightmare, and then it would be sort of an untenable position for the programmers who put money out and invest in these programs, and to not have some level of certainty that they're going to get an ROI based on those investments would be chaos. And interestingly, I was at Fox in the early aughts, and John McCain actually was pushing for a la carte. He went to the GAO and tried to do a study on what would happen if a la carte actually came to fruition. We were running models at Fox to see what kind of price points we would have to seek in order to pay back the rights fees that we had. And the study showed that actually you'd pay about the same for less, wildly less. So you'd have to charge, back when the RSNs were at Fox, something like $60 a month to stay even against your rights cost against the people who actually watched it. So the pay TV model still has to have a level of subsidization in order for the content providers to have some certainty and make the investments in the programming they make. But there's a middle ground that we think, and we think that the genre slice is a way that we can still subsidize. You still, if you're take a news genre, for example. If you're a Fox News fan and you don't want to watch CNN or MSNBC, you still would get the drag-along effect of customers who are actually on the other side of the aisle who would want to watch CNN and MSNBC but wouldn't want to watch Fox. So there's still some subsidization in these genre packages, but not to the same degree.
So one more question on this topic too. My suspicion is because sports channels are the most expensive channels, obviously, on the dial. And so my suspicion is that if you're doing genre-specific packages, as many people will want packages without those sports channels as would want them with sports channels. Did you do any kind of internal metrics, any internal studies around that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we looked at the relative engagement of customers. Now, DIRECTV has sort of a history of being a sports leader. We no longer have Sunday ticket rights, which we talked about last year, and that sits with YouTube, but we still have, we think, one of the most robust, if not the most robust, sports experiences or sports content for customers. So we over-index a little bit in sports. We may not be the best sort of barometer for that, but yeah, there's customers who don't watch sports whatsoever. And you do have people who are casual sports fans who will watch a game of big interest like the Super Bowl or, a national championship of a pick a sport. But there are plenty of customers who don't watch sports whatsoever, and that's part of what we're trying to unlock for customers is for those that don't. I think last year you said in the panel, your mother doesn't watch the Orioles, but you watch them, all day long, and why have her being taxed unnecessarily? She may watch news and she may watch general entertainment that you don't watch that, I don't think you watch news at all, right? As a reporter, you probably don't pay attention to the news. But yeah, there are customers who don't have kids that there's a tax of kids content that they have to pay for in their subscription. So that's what we're trying to unlock.
Rob Thun, was that a dig at me? Dan Finnerty, you run the RSNs here in Los Angeles for the Dodgers and for the Lakers. And across the country, we have an RSN company that's in bankruptcy right now and sort of trying to limp out of bankruptcy in Diamond Sports. We have Warner Brothers Discovery, which got out of the business entirely. Your two RSNs, is it a good business?
It's a challenge business. We're not immune to the problems that, to the same problems that Bally's or that Warner Brothers faced, right? So at the end of the day, it's a pretty simple business as far as how the economics work. And most of our money is made from affiliate fees, and there's just less subs. And so that means less money. And you can only increase the rate so high, as Rob knows. I mean, and we're all approaching probably ceilings in one way or another at those rates. So we're on the exact same model as everybody else. And so we're also challenged in that way. And some people think that direct to consumer is sort of this other avenue of revenue that will come in and make up for that loss of revenue that we're seeing year over year. And it's just not the case. I'd love it if it were. Probably for a lot of the same reasons Rob was talking about those earlier studies about a la carte. There's a connection there, right? When you assign a dollar value to a sport specifically, and if that dollar value is Lakers at $19.99 per month, it causes you to question at that moment in time when you're about to make that purchase, do I really like the Lakers this much? When it's part of your cable package, maybe you're not making that one-to-one analysis. You're thinking about all the channels that you get from cable or from satellite, and then you make your purchasing decision, and then it's kind of set it and forget it. But direct-to-consumer is just a different thing altogether, and it really hasn't proven, and one man's opinion, I don't see it ever getting to the point where it's going to be anywhere near the revenue that's gone away with the reduction of subscribers. So it's I don't know, wet blanket-ish sort of response, John, but it's just, we're at an innovation conference. I wish I could say something innovative about what was happening there, but in our world, it's that just happens to be the case.
So So what are you doing? Are you managing decline then, or like what are you doing?
Well, you got to manage your expenses, just like anybody who's in business, right? You got to manage that, and you got to do what you can with respect to revenue. Like I said, direct to consumer. Maybe at some point in the future, we might find that some of the holdouts, and I'm pointing at the virtual MVPDs. Some of you may have YouTube TV or Hulu Live or Sling or these other players who are, some of whom are growing. Maybe at some point they decide they want to carry again. Some point they did carry. So there might be a resurgence in the future, and you can't give up on that, and we're not giving up on that. But certainly expense management is not a particularly sexy part of the job, but it is part of the job.
Yeah, and the thing that you didn't also mention about direct-to-consumer is the amount of churn that you have to deal with. So if you're in this local market, the Angels were out of the playoff race in the first half of the season. How many people are subscribing for $20 a month for that service there? But Rob Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, has this sort of grand vision where he wants to amass all of these local rights. And he's slowly getting a lot of them back, a lot of them from the teams that were in bankruptcy with Diamond Sports. If I were running the Dodgers, no chance I would allow him to have access to my rights, which are valuable. You pay the Dodgers a lot of money for those rights. Why should they agree to be part of this to help subsidize, say, the Kansas City Royals or the Pittsburgh Pirates, to smaller market clubs? Where do you stand on that?
I mean, we are simply a rights holder, and so we don't have the same issues that the Dodgers have with respect to the future of how they see their team valued in this. I mean, it's better for us, of course, when they play really well, but I'm sure they're thinking about issues such as their fan base moving on into the future. And their brand. We do a really great job for them of protecting their brand and win Emmys, and anybody who's watched Spectrum Sportsnet LA, if you have watched it, hopefully you have a good feeling about it. I think we do a really great job. But there's a lot of concerns that I could imagine the Dodgers having, not necessarily us, but the Dodgers having about moving into what the commissioner is talking about. And then if he's successful in bringing all of those teams together, the next big question is, well, is that a good move? How hard will it be to distribute that package of games that they put together? They're going to have to go and talk to Rob at some point, and to Charter and to Comcast and others, and query how those distribution discussions will go. I think it's anybody's guess whether it might be the same distribution discussions that Diamond is having today, right? Just with some NBA and NHL teams sprinkled in.
I want to get to you, Peter, on you're off the hot seat for the moment, Dan. Peter,
they're tough hot seats. Sure.
Play Any. I'm coming back to you though. The Play Anywhere that you launched, big in terms of interactive rights. Why don't you give us it really is a cool sounding idea that you have there. Give us a primer on what you're doing with that.
Yeah, so my background is I used to run emerging media and innovation for Warner Brothers. And one of the things that we saw was this idea around interactive rights on sports. Could you put overlays on top of sports IP and basically generate new revenue streams, for those teams, for partners like DIRECTV and Spectrum? So we came up with a platform that basically encourages leagues to unlock those rights, to basically allow broadcasters and distributors to basically put overlays on top of the screen. That could be gamification, that could be e-commerce, could be targeted interactive ads. So you're basically, in essence, creating a personalized, customized experience for people who want to watch sports. So it may be in a different language. It may be centric to a particular player, the stats on the screen. So we've enabled and created this platform to allow consumers to create their own personalized sports and entertainment experience. And our platform enables all of those connections, whether you want to buy a shirt from Target or a jersey from Fanatics or place a wager with FanDuel. So we enable all that stuff to happen. And we think, it's a tough business what these guys do, and new revenue streams everybody is looking for. So we think this is a path. And what we've seen, we just got back from the Olympics where we worked with 2 large broadcasters to enable this. It's not just a problem in Los Angeles or for DIRECTV. Around the world, people are struggling with how do you engage the consumer, how do you make it convenient for them to basically purchase or interact with the broadcast, and how do you collect first-party data? Because that's super important, probably to the Dodgers, probably to Spectrum and DIRECTV. And once you have that information, can you hyper-personalize that experience for that consumer? So we're doing all that for different partners.
Here's what I think so cool about what you're doing is that you saw an opening in the marketplace. I mean, you come from Turner. Why didn't Turner just take advantage of those interactive rights in its own right?
Well, because you got to incentivize the marketplace. So you have to get these 3 people on the same stage going, do we agree to unlock these rights? Does Roger Manfred, who's the commissioner of the Major League Baseball, say, I'm going to allow all these broadcasters to do this on my broadcast? We were talking earlier about the Kraus logo on the baseball helmets, which is so amazing. They cut a deal.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
How many people know about the Kraus logo on the baseball helmets?
Sorry, I should ask.
Yeah, I mean, that's the effectiveness of it.
Cool.
It's the batting helmet now has a sponsor on it. And who is Kraus?
Yeah, Kraus is like Carhartt. In the States we have Carhartt's, the construction clothing. And just imagine what these guys did. They cut a deal with Major League Baseball, and who knows next year whether the Dodgers will have a logo, right? So everybody's looking for new revenue streams. And I think for us, we just saw this gray area, and we wanted to incentivize the marketplace. We use the analogy of Jennifer Aniston's sweater. That was the big interactive TV moment for 30 years ago. And we think the reason why that sweater's still in the closet is because no one got compensated if that sweater got sold. So we solved that problem on behalf of the partners and the folks that own that TV ecosystem.
Are you as pessimistic about the future of direct-to-consumer as our friend Dan Finnerty?
I mean, it's always about the value exchange, right? So I think he's 100% right. It's going to go to the broadcasters, right? So you're seeing a lot of markets where it's being returned to over-the-air TV, right? And I think that's sort of, the broadcasters are pretty excited about that. I don't know, I think if you can create relevant experiences that are personalized to the consumer, you can ask them for more money. I think ESPN Plus is looking at, like, they've done the math, and if they're gonna go completely direct to consumer, $30 a month, would that work for a sports consumer? Because they have it, and maybe they think, that'll work. I also think with Gen AI starting, we have to talk about AI at least a little bit, but I just think the ability to create dynamic content serving for the consumer that's particular to them, I think that's going to help in some way, in some form.
Rob, I kind of want to come to you as well with that direct-to-consumer idea. Like, you see the whole marketplace. I know that you're a bundled executive. You believe in the bundle, smaller bundles or big ones. How do you see the development of direct-to-consumer?
Well, look, it's here, and we're not going to fight the tides of trying to stop that. I think, Dan's pessimism is palpable. It sits over this room like a dark cloud of. But no, I think Dan's looking at it through the lens of regional sports networks, and to your point, at $20 a month, that's a tricky business because, like you said, if the team is not humming, and it's really just a 6-month proposition for the particular team, then you churn out. You look at a pay TV subscription that is full year round. The numbers pencil out better for the dollars to come out of pay TV. But if we got to keep pay TV healthy, otherwise, if it continues to decline at its pace, then it's going to be extremely challenging for anybody who are holding sports rights to pay those off. And we were talking about earlier in the green room, but just sort of the fragmentation of sports. And if you're an NFL fan, you have to get a pay TV subscription. Maybe you would go to YouTube if you wanted to get Sunday ticket rights, or if Red Zone's okay, then you can go to the rest of the marketplace, but then you need to pick up a Peacock subscription, a Paramount Plus subscription, ESPN Plus subscription, Amazon subscription, and then come Christmas Day, you'll need a Netflix subscription. And now a lot of people already have those things, but they at least have Netflix and Amazon at scale, but they don't have Paramount Plus necessarily at scale, Peacock at scale yet, ESPN Plus. So the fragmentation is making it harder for the true fans to watch everything they used to watch through their existing pay TV subscription. That, of course, I don't like, but I think it's just the reality of today.
Charter has a plan. It's about Charter, but I'm not asking Dan. Where they're doing deals. Specifically, when they did their Disney deal, they wanted access to Disney Plus and ESPN Plus and Paramount Plus when they did their Viacom deal. Is that something, A, that DIRECTV is interested in, or B, that DIRECTV even can do?
We could do it. I don't think we want to do it to the same degree that the Charter's doing. That's the play that they're running, but that makes sense if you have a broadband business and if you're ultimately potentially getting customers wedded to a bundle of direct consumer subscriptions that you keep revenue on the broadband side of the house for those customers who cut the cord for pay TV. For us, we're pay TV only. So I'm not sure we want to sort of educate customers fully to the same degree to go do that. But look, that's their strategy, and I'm sure they've looked at it pretty hard to formulate that. But they're dealing with multiple subscriptions at different platforms, different than us.
Dan, I want to come to you about. It seems to me when I watch regional sports networks, what I was watching, say, 5-10 years ago is pretty similar to what I'd be watching right now. Maybe better cameras, better video quality. Is that a naive way of looking at that?
Yeah, I mean, the things that probably interest the fan the most have remained the same. There's some little more, call it gimmickry, but some graphics and things that we've come up with over the last few years. Not even few years. Obviously the strike zone was a huge thing, and now that's on basically every telecast you watch now of a baseball game. And as you said, different sort of camera angles. But the key components, the thing that the fan wants, the reason why they'll subscribe to, a DIRECTV package or to a Charter package or buy it on a direct-to-consumer basis, that really hasn't changed that much. So I'm not downplaying the additions that you're talking about, because those are going to be important too, particularly to the teams themselves and the teams' brands. So when I talk about direct-to-consumer, I'm just talking about regional. I'm not smart enough to know what's going on nationally. But yeah, John, in answer to your question, again, maybe not a great innovative answer, but what people are really interested in is the game. And the way we cover the game is kind of the same. I think talent has gotten better over time, and people love their talent, and sometimes they want it to be the same. The talent that any teams have here, right? The way they talk about the game, but as far as the coverage of the game, it's remained largely the same.
And Peter, when you describe what you do, it seems like a natural move to get into sports gambling. Have you done that yet, or is that part of the plan?
Yeah, so I think the leagues are all very cautious, and I think they're taking the money. We've been in this business for a long time where it was the thing they would never touch, and now they are, right? Because the money's so good. So we just did a deal with Las Vegas Knights and Circus Sports. We'll start integrating for them the opportunity for you to bet during different scenes on the broadcast. And it's just the inevitability of these leagues and teams trying to find new revenue streams. And can we use our technology to personalize? So if I know you like a particular player or you like a particular situation, can we personalize that offering for you and sort of help the whole ecosystem sort of win out? So yeah, I think you're going to see the leagues, you have a lot of owners in local markets. In LA, you don't have sports betting, but you have DFS. So Prize Picks and Underdog are very, very successful here. And there are a lot of owners that want to open that door. So you're going to see a lot of teams in the 38 states try to open that door, get permission from the commissioners of the leagues and start to push that. Because I think they look at it as a new opportunity, and then there's all the safeguards, integrity that has to come with it. So I definitely see that happening.
Virtually every conference that you'll attend on sports media gets into gambling, because it's we keep talking about like the declining sort of linear system. That's an area of revenue growth. How are you attacking that, Dan? Is that I mean, obviously it's something they have to be careful with in some ways, but there's so much money from the sponsorships that are out there.
Yeah, I mean, we were really sad when that didn't pass. And I think I'm not sure about this, but I think it's going back on the ballot, not this November, maybe next November again. And so that was going to be, you talk about, areas of growth, that was going to be an area of growth. And mostly, as you said, on the sponsorship side. It's not like Charter or Spectrum is going to become a book and start taking bets like that. Rob, you're probably not looking to do that. But you guys are satellite, so who knows what you're up to. But I think, yeah, I mean, for us, it was really going to be great, and for the Dodgers too, in stadium. I'm sure they were looking at big sponsorships coming in. Right today we have in the mornings we have little 2 sports betting type shows. Bunch of guys sitting in a room talking about, the upcoming day, not just Dodgers and Lakers, but just sports in general, because we know people like that sort of stuff. But yeah, hopefully in next year, if that's when it's coming up on the ballot again, or a year after that, hopefully it passes.
All right, I saved my favorite question for the end. When I first started working in the business, probably like 30 years ago, I wrote about Dish and DIRECTV possibly merging. They finally is merging. I know you can't talk about a lot about this, but can you give like a 50,000-foot view about why this makes sense?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think there are naturally regulator trepidations about the two biggest satellite companies coming together, and at a time when you were still having a rising market, that there was the potential for 2 combined companies to then use their market power to raise prices. And if that was the idea coming into this merger, we'd be idiots, because consumers are looking for lower price points, they're not looking for higher price points, and it would go against the grain of what I just talked about of how we think that genre packs are innovative and a vehicle for customers to save money. So really this is, you have overlapping organizations that share a lot of the same functions. You have Dish, who is in a time of economic peril, and you have an owner in Charlie Ergen whose really future plans is less about video but more about unlocking the wireless spectrum that he had. So he kind of, I don't know, I think he a little bit of a Sophie's choice of, you want to stay with video or do you want to go after wireless, and the money is not going to cover both, and he took the option to go after wireless because that's really where his longer term strategy has been. And it's opportunistic for us because we can bring together 2 companies, hopefully unlock more innovation between our product sets, gives us more scale in the marketplace to actually keep prices down, which again is the main goal, to keep prices as low as possible for customers, and do more innovative things to bring D2C, not necessarily to the same degree of the strategy that you're asking about before of following Charter in that regard, but it's certainly, we want to have the ability for customers to find their D2C subscriptions in our experience, and we think that we can bring those innovations to the combined company.
And you must be salivating at the fact, what is going to be 20 million subscribers or so, roughly or so? You're going there with a lot of leverage into these negotiations now. So we could be up here for another half hour, but we're getting the hook. Thank you very much